Okay, today we are going to talk about making a sort of sticky substance like effect in the Unreal Engine. Um, we're going to do this with both physics materials and decals. And we're actually going to start with the physics material. So here I just have an empty folder within my blueprints. The only thing I have brought in already is this circle mask. It does have to be a square like this, and it looks exactly like this. I just made this in Photoshop. Um, but we're going to start with the physics material. So if we right click here under the physics tab, we have physics material. We're going to create that. It'll ask which type of class, but there's only one. We're going to call this grip tape. It's going to be nice and grippy. And then we are going to make two changes to this. First off, the friction starts at 0.7. We're going to set it to 1,000 just because we can. And then the other value we want to change is this one here called restitution. This is, as it says, the bounciness of the surface. So we're going to set to 0. So it's a lot harder for things to bounce off of the goo. And that is all we need for that. So we're going to save that and leave it there. Next, we're going to create our decal, which is a material type, and we're going to call it goo decal. Okay, and we dive into there. With this, we're actually going to bring in that texture right here. We can just drag it in. To start, we're going to need our base color, which is a constant 3 vector. This lets us define a color. We're going to click over here and just bring it up a little bit so it's a bit easier to see. We're then going to right click on roughness and say promote to parameter, and we're going to call that, actually it's already named correctly, roughness. And we're going to set that to just a little bit off of perfectly rough because we don't want it to be a mirror. And then we're going to take the RGB here off of our circle mask and put it to the, oh, I'm missing one step before we can do that. So on here, if we click on the result node, we can see the main settings for the material as a whole. And we're going to change a couple of these here. So the material domain, we want it to be a deferred decal. Under blend mode, we want it to be translucent. And then decal blend mode, we want to be this one here. So debuffered translucent color, comma, roughness. And that way we can, now that that's set right, we can plug this into our opacity. Okay, so when we actually put this onto a pane, or I think it's a bit easier to understand, on a cube, you can see that it's only showing up in circle shapes instead of, just if we take this off, it covers and everything. So this is masking it so it actually looks like circles. Okay, so we're going to apply and then save that, and we can close that down as well. And then we are going to make our final thing, which is a decal blueprint. So in here, it's not under any of these, so we just have to search for decal. We want a decal actor. Select that, and we're going to name this goo. Let's do this way. BP underscore goo. Open this up, and so here we have the only two components of this. So decals work in like this, where you have a box, and anything within the box can have the decal projected onto it, and the direction that it's projecting is in line with this arrow. So it has the sprite component and the arrow. We're going to add one thing to this up here with the add button. It's a sphere collision right there. And then we want to make the sphere collider about the same size as the box. So just come here and size that up a little bit bigger. Think about there. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. That is all we need in this. We need to go to the event graph now. We can delete these two nodes because we won't need them. If we right click on the sphere collision, we can add two events, both of the on component begin overlap and end overlap. And these are essentially going to do the same thing, one when we enter the collider and when we leave. And we're just going to turn those two things that we just made on and off. So we're going to start with the other actor, and we're going to make sure, because we only want to do things to the player's ball, so we need to cast to physics ball BP, which is the name of the player's blueprint. So once we make sure that that's actually what we're working with, we want to, let's start with set physics material. So we're going to override it of the ball, which is correct. So it's very nice and plugs that in for us right there. Connect those executes. And then the other thing we need, and this is to slow down the player, is set maximum, nope, where the set physics max angular velocity in degrees. Okay. We want to make the target of this the ball again. So we plug that in right there. And then we can right click on this, which is the new max angle velocity. And we're going to promote that and call it speed limit, which is essentially what it does. For this, we need to compile it so we can see the value. And I found about 180 to be a good starting point for this. So this is completed for when we enter. So let's go ahead and test this out. First, we need to spawn one. So we're going to take our BP goo and put it here. Oh, and I forgot one thing. That's the default decal, so we need to set it to ours. On the decal component, we just need to set the decal material to the one we made, which is goo decal. Compile that, and that should do it. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so if we play this, we should come grinding to a halt. But when we leave, it doesn't turn off. We're still in our goo state, as it were. So we're going to come back and grab these and duplicate them and do the exact same thing, but just turn it all off again. So, oh, I forgot one thing. We have the node here. We have to tell it which physics material. So up here, we want it to be grip tape. And down here, PM ball is the normal physics material that the ball has. So we're just setting it back to that. And then here, we're getting rid of the speed limit. And to set it back to normal, I don't know of a good way to do this other than to just set it really high, because you can't just remove the angular velocity cap. So we're just setting it to a really high number, so it shouldn't matter. Oh, we need to connect this other actor. So we're working with the, yep, that does it. Awesome. So, uh-oh, what happened? Oh, this got rotated. I don't know how. Okay, so let's try this again. We get nice and slowed down. We're stuck into it. And then when we get out, we are released. Awesome. And then the other thing is that it won't quite work on vertical surfaces. That's why this is tilted just a little bit. But we can do this to climb walls. So if we play around with the size here, you'll notice that it's not projecting. That's actually because it's outside of this green box. So the red scalar arm increases the green box's direction. So it'll actually project all the way onto that. And then if we play it now, we should be able to, we get stuck, but now we can climb walls. Awesome. Okay, that's everything. Thank you very much.